And here we go. So once again, welcome to the next match in the LADX No Scoop Tournament. That means no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds. This match between Mashy and SkywardSamm. Now this is a match for Group F. Both players are currently 0-1, so both players still have a chance of advancing to the next round. Now, as for PB, SkywardSamm is currently 18th on the leaderboard with a PB of 58.15, where Mashy is 50th on the leaderboard with a time of 104.34. I'll be honest, I've never watched him play, so I don't know how good he is. Maybe he'll surprise us with a really good PB. As we've seen all tournament, any race can be a close race. You never know what'll happen. So we have no idea who's going to come away with the victory. For your commentary, I am Final Flame 83. I will eventually be joined by Geocob once he's done eating. So right now, seeing players going for Quicksword. Doesn't look like either of them are going to get it, unfortunately. Still not too bad. So for the first little bit, you'll probably see his players be equal up until mob and skip. First, let's go ahead and talk about what exactly this game category is. So as I said, it's no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds. No save and quit, pretty self-explanatory. You cannot save and quit. Now for tournament rules, in the event of an accidental save and quit, or a death warp, as that is also not allowed in the category, players must return to the screen where they were, or where they save and quit or died before they continue on. No wrong warp. You cannot use loading zones in this game, warps essentially, to go to a place where the game developers didn't intend for you to go from that warp. A notable idea from that is Doghouse Glitch. That's not allowed. And you also have no out of bounds, which is kind of the confusing part, but you'll understand why later. For no out of bounds, it means you cannot go onto a tile that is greater than 1 block away from a tile which is normally available to be on. It sounds confusing. You can blame Dungeon 8 for it. And welcome my partner in crime for the evening, Geocob.
Thank you very much. How are you doing, Final Flame?
Well, let's put it this way. I make a better commentator than I do a racer.
Well, this is a great game to play and to watch and to talk about. I love this game.
Indeed. Now let's talk about what's going on SkywardSamm's screen, about to happen on Mashy. A little trick known as Moblin Skip. First real RNG portion of this run, we need this Moblin to cooperate, face up. Oh, and we essentially need to clip ourselves into that wall on the right, and we'll allow the Moblin to shoot us across the pit. Skyward getting it. Let's see if does he get Owl Skip. It appears he does. It's a 1-frame trick.
The first 2 tricks at the beginning of this game are kind of a gatekeeper to what makes a good run a really good run, because they're both somewhat random and very difficult. Like they're both at least the second one's a 1-frame trick, and this one is no slouch either. Yeah,
Moblin Skip. It just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And fortunately, if you do die on it, obviously in a PB it's not good. However, you respawn right at the cave entrance right below, so it's not too bad in the tournament. And both players getting Owl Skip. Good job for them on the trendy game.
So this game's supposed to start out in a casual playthrough with you getting the Yoshi doll and then starting this big long trading quest that goes through the whole game and into the magnifying lens. But that's being skipped entirely by a couple of different things, namely a trick named Villa Skip, which skips everything up to the stick coming up in a ways. And then the Windfish's egg pattern is actually constant. As long as you don't read the book in the library, it is always the same in every run, so you don't actually need to get that book. So there will be no trading quests in this run.
Now we're stealing from a shopkeeper because we are speedrunners. We don't like paying for things, hopefully just in games, not in real life. This is intended to be something you can do by the developers. Our name is now Thief for the rest of the run. So we steal the shovel primarily because we want these bombs. We can pay for those, no problem. We'll get a couple sets. But we also like that really expensive bow and arrow set over there for 980 rupees. But we ain't got time to farm that.
Yeah, that's so expensive. I have to imagine like the developer intended route is basically to steal that because it takes so long to get that many rupees if you wanted to. That's almost a category in itself.
Indeed. So Skyward now heading over to Dungeon 1. A couple things we can talk about. First of all, and you've probably noticed this so far, you see players clipping themselves in the walls. It saves a couple of pixels per screen. It's not much, but that really will add up over the course of a run, as well as it helps out with a couple of tricks, which you will see later. Something else you're seeing, a lot of enemy deaths, and let me tell you, those deaths are not random. Jacob, you want to explain what they're doing?
Sure, so there is a mechanic in this game called the Piece of Power mechanic, and essentially there's an item called the Piece of Power. When you grab it, it speeds you up quite a bit, it makes your attacks do double damage. And that drops, I believe it's once every 32 or something like that enemy deaths. The other thing about the Piece of Power is that you only keep it in the area you're in. So if you're in a cave and then you grab it and leave, it goes away. So both of these players are going to route every single enemy they kill for the entire game to try to get their Piece of Power to drop at optimal times, which is generally at the beginning of dungeons. So if all goes well, they'll both have them for the majority of dungeons 2, 3, 5, and sometimes even beyond. Some people try to get it in 6.
Indeed. Now coming up to the dungeon item, and probably one of the biggest game-breaking items, the feather.
You just get to you spend the whole game bouncing around with this thing.
You really do.
Yep, the bouncing is fun, and it's also fast, because if you jump diagonally, you have full X and full Y speed, which means you're actually moving about 1.4 times as fast diagonally. So whenever they can, they'll have the feather on their A or their B button, it'll be just be jumping around.
And it helps us perform some tricks, which you will see in about 60 seconds. One thing I would like to point out is you notice when they open chests, as well as at other times during the game, players do open their save and quit menu quite often. That is allowed in this category as long as you do not actually save and quit. It actually skips the text upon entering a dungeon or picking up an item from a chest.
And for the purposes of this race, in case one of the players accidentally hits down on the D-pad and then selects quit, which is really, really easy to do when you spend so much time on the save and quit screen, they don't have to forfeit the race. All they save and quit, they just have to come back to the room they were in when they did that and then continue the run. So that will not end the game.
So over on Sam's screen, that's why the bow is so overpowered. 2 hits, that boss is gone. Now we'll discuss how he got here in a moment. You might have seen some interesting things, but first, we've got Trolldorm coming up.
Really probably the most difficult normal boss in this game. One of the unfortunate parts is that most of the bosses are pretty lame, but this one's a beating. But he murdered it. That was a very, very good Trolldorm.
Not only can he kill you, if he knocks you off to the side, you fall in a pit and have to restart the entire fight. That is D1. Now, you can see Mashy doing this right now, something called a super jump. Now, do you want to explain what a super jump is? Okay, so, he's kind of skipped it right there, but you saw a couple.
So I honestly don't exactly know how they work, but if you clip into a wall and then do a couple of specific inputs with your feather and sword, you can do as if you were jumping off a cliff, except do it from the top of a wall, which lets you jump into other walls or even over other barriers. So in that case, you saw him jump over a key block a couple of times, and you'll see a whole bunch more of those in the game to jump over minor walls and other stuff that you're not supposed to be able to get to. So Mashy also had a really good Moldorm. That's one of the scariest parts of the run, honestly. It's probably another 20 minutes until something that scary comes up again, because if he knocks you in the pit, which is he can just do with nothing he can do about it sometimes, you lose quite a bit of time there, and you can even just die, because you still have 3 hearts at this point in the game. So Skyward, heading up to get Bow Wow. He's continuing his Piece of Power count. He's going to probably end up killing most of the enemies on the way up there. And the first enemy in Dungeon 2 should drop the Piece of Power if all goes well. So, that's what you just saw is kind of the other section of the Piece of Power route, which is a Guardian Acorn. That drops every time you kill 12 enemies without taking damage. You actually don't want those because it just takes time to pick it up. It cuts the amount of damage you take in half, which is nice, but there's no point in the run where that actually saves any time. And perhaps worse than that, the fact that while you have the Guardian Acorn active, you cannot get Piece of Power drops, and so that can really screw you over. So won't be a problem here. So he just picked it up accidentally. That's just like a half-second time loss. It's whatever. So Skyward has picked up Bow Wow. Bow Wow is very helpful because he eats this singular plant coming up to let him into D2. And just because that we're not going back to Invade Village for the rest of the run, he will never get returned. We don't have to return him to get to Canley Castle because we're not going to Canley Castle, so he'll be sticking around. So
that Bow Wow can take as long as he wants to eat that flower. He will troll you for days. And
he just served his only actual purpose in the run by eating a flower, and he just gets to chill out now. All right, perfect.
On you.
Yep. So there's, I believe, a 30% speed increase. Enemies, almost everything in the game dies in one hit now. Just gotta go fast.
Wait a second, this isn't Sonic.
Piece of power it is.
Something you're about to see Mashy do, and you saw Sam do it as well, and you'll see it throughout the run, is something called a flock clip. We used to get rid of a block that we're not supposed to be able to move until we get the power bracelet. And that's actually done pretty easily. All we have to do is clip ourselves onto the wall, and then push up and left against this block. And it doesn't always move you a full pixel. It actually will move you a couple sub-pixels, and sometimes just enough that you can just walk right on by.
So Skyward, the Hinox, which is without the piece of power of the bow, is actually a kind of hairy boss fight. Just starts waxing him to a wall, spam sword, kills him in 4 hits. It's really, really powerful item to have.
Did we mention about how you can lose piece of power?
I'm not sure I did. You can go ahead and...
Yeah. So I just saw SkywardSamm take some damage. If you take 3 hits from enemies, now this does not count for things like falling in the pits, you will actually lose your piece of power. So you want to be careful with that. In this dungeon, I don't think it's a big issue. In Dungeon 5 later on, you will see that become an issue. Now this room, to get the boss key, you have to kill these enemies in a specific order.
He's getting trolled. He's getting trolled hard. Okay. This is not a fun room.
No. If you mess it up, you actually have to leave and restart. And there's a piece of power over on Mashy's screen. A little bit late.
But yeah, as long as you get it before you get in the this staircase, it's not that big of a deal, so he'll have it for most of the dungeon. Just gotta kill a couple extra guys on the way to D3.
Well, it might actually help him later on when getting to D5 as well, if he doesn't kill those extras.
Yeah, very well could,
because players get that early.
One of the drawbacks of having Bow Wow for the whole game is he eats enemies all over the overworld pretty much randomly. It's very hard to know when he's going to eat something and when he's not, which means sometimes in runs, he'll just go crazy eating a bunch of enemies, and you'll get your D5 piece of power drop right before D5, and that's massive time loss, and there's just not a lot you can do about it.
Over on Sam's screen, you see him facing a Dungeon 2 boss, the Djinn. Now, you're intended to throw this pot 3 times, and then he comes out and you can kill him that way. However, we're just going to clip ourselves into this wall, then throw the pot and instantly break it. 1 bomb and a bomb arrow later, and he is down for the count.
Insta-kill. One thing we should mention as both players collect more items, their inventory screen grows, is the way that the pause screen works in this game, which is actually very, very unique. I don't know of a lot of other games that work this way. So, like most Zelda games, you have an inventory screen with a set of items you can equip to either the A or B button. That includes your shield and sword and stuff. But unlike almost every other game, including most other Zelda games, when you place an item on the pause screen, it does not have a specified spot there. It just stays wherever you put it, and that's even through death and save and quit and such. So, because you can't just have muscle memory of where to move your cursor, you need to actually have what we call kind of a pause screen route, where you know where you're putting stuff when you open the pause screen, and you know where your cursor is going, just so that you don't have to spend a lot of time in the pause screen. And that's... every player has a different one. It's almost kind of an art form, but it saves a whole lot of time.
Yes, that will save you minutes over the course of the run easily. So something we just mentioned, but we didn't actually talk about bomb arrows. Not sure if it's intended or not, but if you place a bomb and then shoot it with an arrow within 4 frames, it will actually shoot that bomb until it hits something, and it will also instantly explode upon contact. We use that numerous times throughout the run. And now SkywardSamm coming upon the next trick, which we like saying it's RNG even though it really isn't, and that's Villa Skip. Karen, tell us what's going on.
So, he's skipping Canley Castle by entering the Villa early. He is doing that by pausing over this hole until he hits the frame where Link falls into it and then holding down. That lets him walk down on top of that bush, and since he can't stand on a bush, he just falls down to the first available tile, which is down in the Villa. So he got that, I think, 6th try, which is pretty good. You can... every time you hit the pause button, it advances 1 frame. And given that there's kind of a little bit of difficulty in predicting exactly when you're going to fall. You can either get it first try, or sometimes they control you very, very hard, and it can take up to like 12 or even more tries. So 6th is pretty good.
Indeed. Coming up on opening D3, now you saw this in D1, but it turns out some of these keyholes have alternate keyholes you just can't see. I bet you all tried that as a kid. You couldn't get it to work. Now you know how.
Yeah, you're not going to see a lot of opening keyholes from the front in this run, unfortunately. We found ways to break most of them. That particular one saves a lot of time because you'd have to walk all the way around to open it from the front and then come back around otherwise.
So Dungeon 3, a lot of enemies here in our way, and in about a couple rooms we should expect to see Piece of Power over on SkywardSamm's screen just before another dangerous part of this run.
Mashy, first pausing the Villa escape, which is perfect. That's very nice. And in a second, you'll see Mashy do a similar trick to Villa escape, where he'll do what we call Villa escape, which is a similar trick where he'll just position himself between a hole and a grass tile, go down, fall on top of the bush, and just fall out of the villa.
Oh, Sam getting a late Piece of Power. Hopefully it doesn't mess him up here. So now it's time for the Dongo skip. If you're not careful, this is a soft lock opportunity, but he's apparently having no issues with that.
It's a tricky little super jump to get over that wall. He'll have to do it twice, but it's never have to fight the Dodongos. So he does not have the Piece of Power yet. He probably has most likely 1, maybe 2 enemies to go. The issue is you don't really kill any more enemies in this dungeon, so he might just end up not getting it at this point. He'll probably kill something because it does save a lot of time on the boss in this case. So he'll most likely try to find it. Actually, I'd take it back.
He'll probably get it with his ults.
Yeah, he kills 5 enemies here. I forgot about that. So yeah, one of these will drop it.
There it is. Now this might benefit him going to D5. He might not have to worry about getting an early one. And in D5, that's probably where Piece of Power saves the most time. You want that as soon as possible. Sam's struggling with the super jump here.
Yeah, this is one of the trickier super jumps in the game.
And again, if you're not careful, you can land in the middle of those blocks, and that is a soft lock. Meanwhile, I'm actually getting Piece of Power right where he wants it.
Another flock clip to skip another key blocks. And on our way to the boss.
Oh gosh, struggling there with the spikes.
Jumping around the spikes, yeah, it's hard to get out of those.
Vitreous can be a pain, although there is a heart refill here if he needs it. Meanwhile, Mashy now getting what I like to call the speed shoes. I'm a Sonic player, what do you expect? So this is Vitreous, we're gonna hit him down from the ceiling, split him up, hit him a couple times, and hopefully GG.
And having Piece of Power for this boss fight is very nice, because once he splits him, he'll be able to do a very nice quick kill. He'll just bounce off the wall, hold a sword out, and just they'll both die instantly. Yep. Perfect.
And Mashy done with his second Dodongo skip as well. No soft lock. But there's plenty more soft lock opportunities coming up.
Yeah, the big one is coming up in just a second. Yeah, Mashy's had a very nice D3. He saved up a little bit of time after kind of unlucky start.
That's why we say it's anybody's race up until the very end, and there's just enough RNG that anything's possible.
Oh, there's more than enough RNG that anything's possible. Mashy going for the quick kill, bounce off the wall, and they're both dead.
There we go.
Yeah, without Piece of Power, you have to spend a lot more time. You usually put your sword on, you just jump around and slash them. It's almost like a real boss fight when you don't have the Piece of Power.
To the person saying, poor forgotten Dodongos, you are so right, because we will be seeing them again later, and not fighting them.
Yep.
So coming up on probably the most dangerous trick of this run, maybe not the hardest, but the most dangerous, that is Walrus Skip. And the reason being is you have a couple of soft lock potentials here if you're not careful.
So this will be the first instance of a trick we call bomb triggers. Turns out this has joined the ranks of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, with bombs being the most broken item in the game. If you place 2 bombs within 4 frames of each other on a screen, it will trigger any cutscene that's supposed to happen there. In this case, it is the Walrus, which gives the entire Marin subquest. And that's like 6 to 8 minute time save. It's massive.
Now, the problem with this trick is, as I said, there's 2 soft lock potentials, you have to leave this screen, and if you leave it too soon, Sam not having no issue, if you leave it too soon, the walrus remains and you are soft locked because you can't actually open your menu or use your items right now. And if you leave the screen too late, a bunny appears and you're just stuck there. You will never be able to move. So Sam entering this cave, that resets his menu so he can open it up again and go fight a boss that you will not be seeing called Landmore.
Yep,
that was Landmore.
That's a bad part for the course for sub-bosses in this game, unfortunately. So, this is a little bit scary. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Yep, didn't fall down the hole. That's a waste of much time if he does, so good to avoid that.
Mashy struggling with the bottom trigger.
There he goes.
And he gets it. Hopefully he keeps an eye on his bomb count and doesn't run out later. So that was to get the Dungeon 4 key. Now we have a long road to get to the Dungeon 4 keyhole. And then we have another long road to actually get to the Dungeon 4 entrance. And Mashy avoiding soft locks.
Yep, no soft locks today.
Now, you want to be careful when doing this, that you remember to go to the Dungeon 4 keyhole. I can honestly say I have never made that mistake, but I have seen people forget.
I've made that mistake. It's because you walk right past the entrance to Telltale Heights, which is where you have to go to get the Dungeon 4, and if you just forget you haven't unlocked it, you go all the way there, then you go all the way back to unlock it.
Yep, because you can't enter a dungeon. There's water blocking your way, and you're sitting there going, why is Link drowning? Oh.
So this is the tricky little avenue of where you generally do this without an actual weapon, just usually with the bracelet and the Pegasus boots. You're kind of at the mercy of all these enemies. You can do a lot of cool tricks, like trying to wall clip to get past them, but to a large extent, you're just hoping they don't run into you, and you're just trying to react to whatever they're doing.
You're hoping Bow Wow eats some, but you don't want him eating all of them, because then you might get an early piece of power. So this is when he can either help you or hurt you.
He's eating quite a bit for SkywardSamm, so it might actually be very lucky that he had that late piece of power in D3, because he's probably still safe just because of that.
Indeed, we don't want it in Dungeon 4. Dungeon 4 for us is actually going to be very short at this time, but immediately leaving Dungeon 4, we head to D5, and that one could take a while. But before we get to there, coming up to, I don't know, I'd say one of the most important tricks of the run. Don't you agree?
It's up there. Right up there with the Wang, a couple of other things. This is called obstacle skip. Saves about a quarter second, he gets it. You just gotta jump right at the top there. Jump right over that obstacle instead of having to charge through it.
If you miss it, you lose 2 seconds, and so it wouldn't have been worth going for it, but we all go for it. You have to. So this is Dungeon 4, Part 1. We're actually not going to complete the entire dungeon in one go. The reason being, if we were to complete it right now, when we leave the dungeon, we are stuck inside of a side quest. Just traveling with a ghost, basically. And we don't want to do that. That takes time. So we did find a way to avoid that. And that is, in the middle of Dungeon 6, we will be getting the level 2 power bracelet. And apparently, when you pick that up, that sets the trigger for this, that you don't have to do that side quest. Meanwhile, SkywardSamm going for what we call Dumb Jump number 1. In case you're wondering why, it's a dumb jump.
Yeah, but those water strides just knock you all over the place. This jump here actually skips a very large part of the dungeon. You're supposed to have to come around from the bottom and get a couple extra keys, but you can just jump around. So, we're already to the mini-boss.
Our favorite, it's Cue Ball.
You can just kind of stun lock him up in the corner like this.
We hope you enjoyed. That was Cue Ball. Looks like Sam choosing to get the fairy, not a bad idea.
I always get that fairy. It's D5 scary.
You can say that again. Oh, and there's the early piece of power.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate. So he will be going through most of D5 with no piece of power.
And now that will cost him quite a bit of time, so if Mashy gets piece of power or an early D5, that's good for him.
Yep. I saw Bow Wow eating a bunch of extra stuff, but it was just enough that it trolled him.
I've seen many runs lost to that, fortunately. So, as I said, we're not done with D4 for now. And just a short hop over to Dungeon 5. I'm actually struggling with the enemies. They will all troll you. I think Dungeon 4 Part 1 is probably one of my least favorites.
Yep, it's my second least favorite, right behind Dungeon 2.
This is why I don't even go for Dungeon 1.
What's your favorite dungeon?
I'd say Dungeon 7. You'll be seeing why
That's
later.
probably my number 2 or 3. But this is my favorite is Dungeon 5. I absolutely love this dungeon. It's the longest dungeon for sure, at least for a speedrunner. And it's just very execution heavy. There's a lot of room to lose time or save time here. So.
Yeah, so we'll be doing a lot of walking and a lot of backtracking in this dungeon, which is why we like Piece of Power right about where Sam is.
It'll be that much harder in this dungeon because he's not going to have it. So, this is the introduction of the, what are these enemies called? The,
Helmasars.
Helmasars, that's it, yeah. So, you can only hit them from the back, and they move around completely randomly, which can be really infuriating if they just decide to keep turning their back to you over and over again. Especially so if you don't have the Piece of Power, because they die in 2 hits instead of 1.
Now, one thing, you say you need to hit them from the back. It's actually not true, as I've learned. As long as you are facing the same direction as them, like if you hit them with a sword slash, they will still die.
Yeah, that is true. So you can do some really fun, tricky stuff where you jump into them, sometimes with the spin slash, and just jump over their head and just kill them from the wrong side.
Now, that room Sam was just in, we will be revisiting that later. We actually have a mini-boss in this dungeon that we have to fight 4 times in a specific order in 4 different rooms.
And this is the story of how Helmasars control you. Just keeps walking away, and again, Piece of Power. Even if you hit them in the front with it, they get stunned for a long time. If you don't have the Piece of Power, they can walk again almost immediately. So you're just kind of at their mercy. So
this is Master Stalfos. Now we fight him in 4 rooms. In the first and fourth, he takes 3 hits to kill. Second and third, it's only 2, and we do that with bombs and bomb arrows. Try and kill him optimally. And that's room number 1. Now, overall Mashy screen coming up to D5, and I haven't seen Piece of Power drop. So he might be on good pace.
Yeah, I think he's on set to get it in the first room, so he will be going fast through the whole thing, hopefully. Although it is very easy to lose it here. Because it's a long dungeon, lots of enemies, and if you take 3 hits, then you just lose it. Oh,
there it is, right on cue. So now the biggest thing is he has to avoid taking hits, and already he takes a hit. That's unfortunate. But he gets the Helmasar down quickly. Now Sam, finishing part 2 of the Master Stalfos fight, getting ready to head over to part 3. A little detour to get some bombs, we will be needing those later. And that's a second hit from Ashley.
That's danger zone, because lots of dungeon left, and there's also a damage boost coming up in the water that you'll be seeing SkywardSamm do, but if Mashy wants to keep his Piece of Power, he'll have to skip it.
Now, D5 is long enough that if Sam chose, or even Mashy if he loses this quick enough, too quick I should say, that you can actually get a D5 later, a Piece of Power later in D5. However, if you get it too late, it's actually not worth picking it up.
So, SkywardSamm about to pick up the hookshot. I mean, not the hookshot, the boss key, even though you're supposed to have the hookshot to get it. However, you can kind of abuse the pit mechanics in this game to jump over 4 pits instead when he's supposed to be able to do 3 just like that. He nails it first try. Very nice. That's actually that's pretty hard without the Piece of Power.
Number 2. Indeed, it's nice to see someone get that first try. Mashy, unfortunately, losing his Piece of Power.
Yep.
But well, he's not terribly behind. This could still go either way. So now Sam will head over to the 4th Master Stalfos fight, and that is where we will be getting a dungeon item, Hookshot, which we will need for, first and foremost, the really annoying boss of this dungeon.
I hate this. My reaction time is like 70-year-old status, so I have a really hard time with this boss.
I am with you on that one. So as I said, making our way back. Now, had we entered the room we're getting ready to enter earlier, when we were getting the key, nothing would happen. It's the room after this, where we fight Master Stalfos once more. If you just enter here right away, nothing will happen. You're in an empty room. Hence why you have to come back later.
And he's dead.
choosing not to kill him with a third bomb arrow. Interesting.
He might be low on arrows, so I didn't see what his count is, but you do need a few going into D6, so he might have...
Actually wasn't bad off. I think he's at 3, which is higher than what I usually say, but...
Yeah, that's probably enough.
Either way, it
He
works.
wants to be safe, yeah, so...
And fun fact, if you stomp on those Goombas, they are guaranteed to give you a heart.
Yep. So Mashy, going to try his hand at the boss key skip? The boss key early, that is. Oh, I jumped a little bit late and just ran into the hole. You can set up the X position by just bogging against the wall. It's still, even if you do that, you have a very tight window to actually jump. So a little bit early that time, a little bit late the second time.
Sam getting a piece of power.
Yeah,
At this point, I don't think he meant to grab it. It happened to be in the way of the hook shot, and the reason being is in about 3 rooms, we're going to want to lose it.
You actually, so this is a boss where you actually do not want piece of power because you need to hit him 8 times, and most bosses, including this one, take normal damage for piece of power sword, but they're stunned for piece of power duration, which is quite a bit longer than sword duration, which means that it's very difficult to get the 2 cycle they're going to want if you have piece of power. So, yep, it's gonna get hit 3 times intentionally, and he lost it.
That is dumb jump 3, but Sam taking the easy way out using the hook shot. Alternatively, you can boots over that and jump. Sometimes it's not worth it.
Alright, so there are 4 holes here. The what's this boss's name? I need to learn my lore in this game.
Wall Snake.
Wall Snake, yeah, it's a very aptly named. He can jump out of any of the 4 holes at random, and you just gotta react as fast as you can to try to get him. Yep. You gotta be really fast, otherwise he just goes away.
Now you can get 4 to 5 hits when you pull him out each cycle. We need 8 hits total, so ideally you'll 2-cycle this boss. Sam needing to be careful, he's low on health. I think he'll be all... Oh no!
Oh, he's...
Right as I'm saying, he will be alright.
Oh,
that is unfortunate. And just
what
like
really
that...
does is that ties up the game, actually, so...
It does. Mashy's still behind, but only by a couple screens now. And honestly, it looks like Mashy might be in a similar situation coming up, unless he knows where to grab some health on the way. As we said, folks, anything can happen in these races.
So yeah, he's at 4. So the reason that happened was because he got that piece of power and had to hit himself down to 2 hearts to fight the boss. Now he's at 4, and that's almost certainly not going to happen again. Mashy also at 4, so you'll most likely won't see any more deaths, although you shouldn't say that quite so early.
Oh gosh, there's still plenty of time. Sam versus Wall Snake, round 2. So yeah, as we're pushing ourselves into the Wall Snake to get that extra hit or 2, we got to be careful because we can take hits, as happened to Sam the first time.
And that's
this time much cleaner.
Perfect 2-cycle second time around.
Indeed. Now both players on the same screen. Mashy gets a 2-cycle. Good first cycle. Gonna get a good second. Oh,
it's a little bit slow, so it's got to go. So at this point, you can start getting trolled because once he's this damaged, there's a chance of pulling out a fake one that actually you can't damage. So nope, he got it. So not too bad. It's a little bit of extra
still,
time.
at this point, it's still a very close race. All right, now time for our players to head on over to Dungeon 6. But first, we have to take a detour to the Armos Maze, which is both a great source of arrow refills, bow kills, and a lot of damage taken if you're not careful.
And to get the phase key, we'll be facing one of the rare examples of an actually cool boss fight. The Armos Knight, who there's a variety of different strategies to kill him. The simplest, but the safe and simple ones use the feather to just run around and charge jump slashes at him. The fast but kind of dangerous ones use the Pegasus boots to charge into him and then bounce against the wall when he jumps up, because the nature of the boss is if he hits the ground and you're on the ground, he stuns you and then just runs into you and you get destroyed pretty quickly. So we'll see what the runners decide to go for. Even with boots, there's really a whole bunch of different strategies of exactly how you line up your boot shots to hit the wall and kill him.
I decided to have some fun in my earlier race. I did shovel strats.
Yeah,
I've been struggling with this guy lately.
You can have lots of fun with this guy.
It takes a while, but it looks cool. And it gives you a chance to stretch.
So I told a lie about Bow Wow earlier. He is actually useful here. He can eat these stashes, which really get in your way. They also drop arrows. So it's fast, and so I think they'll both be on arrow speed 6 at this point. There's no worries there. Alright, kind of strats we got. It will be a Pegasus boot strat.
Indeed. Good job by Sam.
And perfect.
So Sam now leaving Armless Maze. Meanwhile, Mashy, let's see what strats he does. I don't know if he'll do boot strats as well. Looks like he will. Indeed. So both players opting for the quick boot strats. Mashy's struggling a bit, but he hasn't taken any hits yet. That's the important part.
Oh, that was so scary.
That was very nicely done.
Yeah,
he missed a couple hits, but he still managed to survive.
Yeah, once you miss one, your rhythm gets completely thrown off, and it's easy to just get hit over and over again, but he recovered very nicely there.
Indeed. Now heading over to Dungeon 6, and you'll be seeing something very interesting, if all goes well.
Chomp.
So, fun fact, Link is not the most powerful being in all of the universe. Neither is Ganon. It's actually Bow Wow. Who else can eat cutscenes? Yes, he ate a cutscene. You are not seeing things.
So, entering Face Shrine. This is a decently long dungeon, but like most of the ones in this game, this one is fairly broken. There's a couple of skips that'll come in pretty soon. But the first order of business to get the dungeon item being the level 2 bracelet, which you end up only needing for one block in the game. But as Final Flame mentioned earlier, it is the picking up of the bracelet that triggers the ghost to not appear, so that is what enables this whole route to work.
Mashy not getting cutscene eat, unfortunately. Doesn't waste a lot of time. So fun fact about the cutscene eating as well, since we just saw that. That actually counts towards your piece of power count. I have heard of Tales of Piece of Power dropping on cutscene.
I did not actually know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe it happened to TGH the other night in a weekly race. So something you're seeing Sam do as well. He just hookshot that pot. He's now invincible. The game thinks he's still using his hookshot. Oh, Mashy getting Piece of Power. Nice.
That
could help be a huge deal maker.
Yeah, that's a pretty long dungeon. So yeah, it's kind of almost a new thing to be routing that Piece of Power in, but it does save a lot of time. So you'll catch up even more after that. This is a section that's sometimes called parkour. You'll see a series of nice, cute little super jumps to skip up to get the boss key right now, which is one of the very big skips that skips about 2/3 of the dungeon, I'd say.
Now, alternatively, we could have walked up farther and clipped ourselves into the wall that way, but it's quicker to do the, as he said, a little parkour section. Super jump coming up here. If you're not careful, you can soft lock yourself. However, there's a very good visual cue, so that you should be able to avoid that.
Yeah, this is one of the... Most of the super jumps in the game are fairly lenient. This one is pretty precise, but he gets it. And
hey, look, it's those Dodongos. We're not fighting.
We're off to fight the boss of the dungeon. I, of course, refer to the horse heads.
Yeah, that's probably the bigger boss in this dungeon. So, horse heads, we have to throw them both and have them land upright. If they don't, it resets and you have to do it again in order to open the door.
So we missed the first one. He must not have practiced this enough, because he is having a hard time with it.
I know. I mean, all the good players, I'd say, put a couple of hours of practice into this one.
Oh, he got it. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's completely random. There's a 50% chance of each one landing face up, so every time you throw them, you have a 25% chance of getting it, and if not, you just throw them over and over again. Kind of a little mini aghanim.
And there's no limit on how many times you'll have to throw them. So coming up to the boss of the shrine, Facade.
Unfortunately, this is the actual boss of the dungeon.
If you're not careful, he can be a bit trolly. He's not too bad once you get used to it. But
He
we're going to get 3 hits on him with bombs before he's even supposed to have a hitbox.
He's certainly trolly. He's just not very imaginative. He's literally just a face in the floor. I'm not too impressed with the design on this one. But it was the 1990s. You can't ask for too much in your bosses.
They do want to dodge these tiles. They will hurt if you get hit by them.
Mashing had
I
a little
would
bit
say
of trouble with the
having no
super
issue.
jump. But he's, I'm sure, being careful because he does not want a soft lock here. There he goes.
Indeed.
And still got
The
his piece of
issue is
power. So
Yeah, if you do the super jump too high, you get stuck in the wall and soft block. If you try and do it too low, you just won't get a super jump because you're off the corner block.
And I think the main reason that Skyward Sword actually still has a lead at this point is it looks like he has a very nice and clean equip route where Mashy's been a little more sluggish in some of his pauses, so it just
First try horse heads for Mashy,
Yep,
though. He must
there
have
we
been
go.
practicing.
Yep. That's the mark of a skilled runner. But you really can't understate how much time you save with having a really refined pause screen route.
Indeed. And just being able to plan for the future and what's coming up, not just what's in the moment.
Exactly.
That way you can take care of both your buttons at the same time. So, going to head back over to Dungeon 4 now and finish that. As we said, we don't have to worry about that ghost side quest anymore now that we have the level 2 power bracelet.
Almost got trolled by that paratrooper.
Those things, what are they, bomb fairies, something like that?
Bomb
They're
fairies,
horrible.
yes. The physics of you getting hit by a bomb in the water is essentially you just go flying across the map.
Alright, and there's Facade down for Mashy.
So returning to D4, that's going to quickly clean it up. We no longer have to worry about getting the ghost side quest.
So I kind of like this segment of Dungeon 4, because it actually has another cool super jump coming up. Nice, unique one. So you can see on the screen Sam is heading to now. We're actually going to do a super jump against this left wall and use our sword to clank off that key hat and redirect us down onto the ledge, which allows us to grab this boss key.
Yes, the boss key. That is a pretty cool trick, and he gets it very quickly. Cute little diagonal jump here. This jump actually skips a decent amount of the dungeon. I kind of just think that some of the developers forgot you could jump diagonally in this game.
And here's Anglerfish. 3 bomb arrows, and
Another
he's a
wonderful
goner.
boss.
And that was Dungeon 4.
Now we're headed up to Telltale Heights to finish off the rest of them. Before they can get to the dungeons, though, they have to do a trick that we call Rooster Skip, and this is kind of the centerpiece trick of the run. It's definitely the most technical, definitely the most difficult. You're supposed to get the Flying Rooster. We're not going to get it. We don't even have the frog song. We don't even have the ocarina, so we clearly can't get that without spending a huge amount of time. However, there is a mechanic in this game where if you shoot the hook shot after you jump, you have a 1-frame window where you can jump off a pit again. And in order to get across the big pit that they're about to get to the bird key, they have to do that twice in a row. So that's essentially 2 frame perfect tricks in a row. So there's a couple of mitigating factors. First of all, if you fail, you don't necessarily lose. You can mash the hookshot button to get it to jump again and try again. Also, there is a buffered strat, which I am not sure if these runners will use it. It takes a bit more time, but it is a lot more consistent. So this in
Probably
races,
a lot safer.
it is a whole lot safer.
But I expect we'll probably see that from Mashy, but who knows. But first, we have obstacle skip. Try number 2. Now, I believe if you get both of these on a run, your run is pretty blessed. You're good to go. You're going to have good RNG on the final boss.
It basically just means you're guaranteed to get Rooster Skip first try, but unfortunately he missed it, so I think Bow Wow's going to troll him now.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing during Rooster Skip. Bow Wow can get in your way of the hook shot, and you're in for a rough time. Now, Rooster Skip, just for reference, let's say Sam misses it about twice, and Mashy gets a first try. Suddenly, the runners are probably about tied.
Yeah, that's about
Anything can
about
happen.
30 seconds or more per try you miss it. So here we go. He'll go to the left. Yeah, he's going to go for buffer. So
taking
buffer
it safe.
So you just select buffer until the hook shot gets right there. Then you do a map screen buffer, and you should be able to jump immediately. And just got to do it one more time. Hold down left, and he should get it. Barring something going wrong, which there is stuff that can go wrong here. No, very nice. He's got it.
Nice. First try. Another thing we have not seen enough of this tournament.
Yeah, that's
now
one
we
of the
fall
biggest
down on
problems.
purpose.
Yep.
So, fun fact, in the route we're doing, this next screen, go to the right, not up. If you go up, you're going the wrong way. I learned that.
You used to go up there, so I've had trouble with that myself, actually.
Yeah, the problem is after
Old habits.
D7, you do go up. So kind of like going to the D4 keyhole, you see a screen, you know you're going a certain direction, but wait, you're supposed to do that later. It's really easy to get mixed up. Mashy getting his obstacle skip. Good going.
Yeah, so SkywardSamm just coming up in D7, and Mashy will be attempting the Rooster Skip.
And over on Sam's screen, we'll also be going for another cutscene. This one a bit easier than Dungeon 6, so pay attention to Bow Wow. Coming up.
But here comes Mashy. It's a good first jump. And he'll be buffering it. And it looks like he's going well so far.
Oh no!
Oh no, he got a short jump.
So close.
Yep, if that happens, you just got to react really quickly, and otherwise you just fall. Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Back over to Sam's screen, you see a little short super jump there. So D7, casually, is probably one of the longer dungeons. You have to grab a big ball, throw it in the pillars. It's long. Not in the speedrun route, courtesy of bomb triggers. There's two different ways of doing this. You can do what he did there, which is drop 2 bombs in the pit within 4 frames of each other. That was a bit awkward, but it worked.
That was pretty cute, actually. I like that.
That worked. That was nice. So you can do that method. Alternatively, and first of all, these pillars have to be done in order. But alternatively, you can do it on a screen transition similar to what we did for Walrus Skip, and you will see that for the next room. It's required to do that. Oh no!
I failed it again.
Once again falling.
And
Rooster Skip can be very trolly.
It does that to you. But very nice D7 so far from SkywardSamm. He's got all the pillars down. Now he will most likely be doing another trick that we call Goomba Surf. And this one is kind of cute, but also very randomness dependent.
Yeah, so there's 2 different ways of getting to the boss room in this run. First is, as he said, Goomba Surf.
Not a good first jump from Mashy. Yeah, doesn't quite make it far enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with Goomba Surf, and he is not going for it.
Yep, I like this. I do
Probably
not like
a good call.
Yeah, so
instead, it's going to be another fancy super jump off of a pea hat right there.
Land up there, and yep, that's
With Goomba Surf, you have to clip yourself 1 pixel and only 1 pixel into the wall, do a naked super jump, and hope that the Goomba decides he wants to move right. And now also coming up on the Evil Eagle, another boss that is terribly, terribly broken courtesy of bombs.
Meanwhile, Rooster Skip attempt number 4. This one looks pretty good at this point. Oh, did he get the right frame yet?
There we go.
He's got a full buffer. Okay.
So we're going to use 3 bombs on Evil Eagle and not have to worry about actually fighting him in the wind. Yeah, but you know what? It's still anybody's race.
SkywardSamm using a bit of a cheese strat on Evil Eagle, which is great because the boss fight is actually very, very annoying if you do it. In fact, we can't do it the right way because we won't have Mirror Shield. So you can just sit in the ladder and throw bombs at him.
Yeah, we don't get Mirror Shield this run. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, you need that later for something. No, we don't. We know what we're doing. Now, coming out of D7, we're going to jump down. You're meant to fall into this hole right there. Turns out, if you buffer your save and quit menu on the transition, you can skip it. Cuts out. I don't know how long it cuts out, but a good chunk of time.
That changed the whole route, actually. If it weren't for that, we'd have to do the old route, which is doing D8 before D7 and then D4 at the end. So that one little trick actually has a huge impact on the run.
And fun fact, be careful, you can fall down those waterfalls. Been there, done that. Actually getting the Bow Wow Eve as well. And now we're going to skip something else. We're going to skip the girl.
Marin, no!
So you're meant to go talk with her right here? Yeah, we're not going to do that.
I'll save you. No, never mind.
If you are too close to her, you'll trigger a cutscene that lasts about a good minute. So we'll see how Mashy's triggers go. We'll also see what method he decides to do.
Drop him in the pits.
Doing the buffered method, probably a good idea, because we mentioned earlier he had used some extra bombs, so he has to keep an eye on his bomb count. You need a minimum of 9 for this.
Yeah, and doing the pit method essentially involves just mashing the bomb button, so if you're a little bit slow, you can very quickly just deposit your entire stash of bombs and just lose all of them.
So over on Sam's screen, watch out, you're supposed to have a mirror shield here, but no, we're going to clip ourselves into the wall and just walk on by. Skipping that flame. Now, this screen Mashy's on, you have to do the transition method. First try. Awesome.
Here comes another major skip in the run, is the getting into Turtle Rock with the Frog Song, which skips Ocarina and the Frog Song. So another bomb trigger and just wake the guy up.
And fun fact, he doesn't have a hitbox at the beginning, so we can just dash on through him.
And into Turtle Rock. Longest dungeon in the game, definitely not in the speedrun though.
No.
And in this case, it is mostly not actually because of glitches. There are a couple of bombable walls, which I guess the developers hope you just wouldn't know about, but you can actually skip a huge amount of the dungeon just by going through them from the wrong direction.
Mashy also not going for Goomba Surf. Right. Probably a good idea. That can wait.
SkywardSamm with old school strats there to do a sideways block with a super jump. And that bomb wall right there just skipped about 3 boss keys and at least half the dungeon. 3 regular keys. Alright. Nice super jump. He's off to fight Evil Eagle.
And fun fact, we can push blocks on the side, and we get that chest open. Now, I've seen a lot of players lately struggle with Evil Eagle. We'll see how Mashy does.
SkywardSamm, meanwhile, finding Blano.
Good Evil Eagle from Mashy. Now, pay attention to the next screen on Sam's screen. This screen, you remember that long out-of-bounds definition? That screen is the reason it exists. So that little center island below that, what looks like a pushable block, you can actually do super jumps to get on that and skip Blano. But not in this category with that rule set, because it turns out that's greater than 1 tile away from a tile you can actually normally access. Skyward deciding he needed a nice hot lava bath. I don't blame him. So I'd say it was a pretty good D7 for Mashy.
Alright. And we have a D4 mini-boss rematch here. Except it's got lava, so it's even scarier.
But it's still easy. Cue Ball didn't get any stronger.
And now he will have to try to fill all the holes with the rock that rolls.
Hey, it's the room that all the LADX speedrunners hate. So everyone has a different way of doing this, and it can easily troll you if you're not careful. As Giacob said, you just want to fill up all these holes. But not only that, you ideally want to be able to jump, as you see here, as close to this chest as possible, so you would waste as little time as possible.
And if you've never played Link's Awakening, the controls there are actually very wonky and take some practice to get right. It's not quite as fluid as it looks.
Coming up on another skip. Oh, we're on SkywardSamm's screen. It is Jesus jumping.
So we're skipping one more small key with this. It's going to do what we call a Jesus jump, which is, it's called that because you walk on water. So you use that to clip into the wall in the back and do a super jump right to the boss. This is Hothead. He is very strange as far as his hitboxes go. It's very hard to comprehend how he actually takes damage. Oh, that was close. He actually does 4 hits. He does 4 hearts every time he hits you, so that was pretty scary. That was a very, very fast 2 cycle, though. So
indeed. That boss can control you for days. Now, the most important trick in the run coming up. Will Sam go for it? Will he get it?
We got it.
You know what? That's better than nothing. We got the side.
Yeah. But I'll take it.
Side wang's better than no wang. Words I never thought I'd say. So while Mashy's getting ready to enter D8, SkywardSamm heading over to the Windfish Egg and the finale. Again, the race isn't over. You have a couple difficult bosses coming up, as well as, well, plenty more RNG, as you all know if you were here for the earlier race.
So the flavor behind this final boss is you're fighting the nightmares, and the way they attack you is to actually manifest themselves as the nightmares are things that Link has faced in the past. And as I'm sure any Link to the Past runner will tell you, one of the biggest nightmares is Aghanim, and he is back in full force in this game, with just all the randomness that you have grown to know and love him for.
First, one more. Well, not one more. We have more, but another bomb trigger, because again, we don't have the ocarina, so we need to play the cutscene to open up the egg. Unfortunately, I don't think y'all have the amazing music of that, but hopefully we will for Mashy.
Mashy, meanwhile, is coming up on Plano here. You're into the Windfish's egg.
So, we brought this up earlier. This place is a maze, and you're supposed to do this long side quest, go to the library, read a book, blah, blah, blah. If you never actually do that, the path is the same every time. Left, left, up, right, up, left, up. So we don't need to do that. We know where to go. And now, we got a lot of explaining to do very quickly because there's 6 phases to this. Yeah. First off, bomb trigger time. Spam your bombs, and hopefully you skip, as he does, a ton of text. As a side effect, no music.
So the first boss is the Magic Blob. He's going to try to do a quick kill to kill him without magic powder. He got the right pixel, but unfortunately, whether or not you get it is based on a global frame rule, and at least I think it is. But in any case, he missed it, so he's got to spam powder a little bit, so it's not a big deal. He gets it quickly. And here comes Aghanim. So he needs to hit 4 regular yellow balls, even though they're all yellow in this case. The first 2 are guaranteed, but after that, it's anyone's game. You have a 50-50 shot of getting one, so the theoretical limit on the number of blue balls you can get is actually infinity. And the record I'm aware of is 17, which is pretty absurd in itself. Hopefully we don't see anything like that happen here.
I did my part earlier to try and get that record, apparently.
And that's the first one.
Second.
Yeah, it begins.
Alright, next up.
2 is not too bad.
Next up, the Nightmare of Moldorm, because we haven't had enough of Moldorm. This time we can do a quick kill. We can stun lock him in place if we're lucky and swing our sword at the right times. And get all the hits in very quickly.
Very well executed there. So next comes Ganon. You kill him by just kind of running into him over and over again with the Pegasus sword. So you'll see this thread a lot on a bunch of different bosses you have, and that is over the course of the game, because running into him actually does spin slash damage.
Well, hold your horses right there. There's Landmola, and goodbye Landmola.
The second Landmola fight in the game is equally lame. Because they just really didn't like this boss.
And now Deathel. More
This is true-
RNG
yep,
to end the run.
True form of the nightmare. So you kill him by shooting 16 arrows into his eye. The problem is whether or not his eye is open is completely random, so it can be very fast or very slow. This is a good start. This is a very good start. So
Indeed. Now, you gotta be careful. After about 7 hits, those arms will get out of sync, and they become more and more difficult to dodge.
it is possible, but very difficult to 4-cycle him because you can just barely sneak in 4 arrows. Generally, doing that 4 times in a row is really difficult if his arms are messing with you, so usually a 5-cycle. And I think that's, just what he got there.
It's a GG by SkywardSamm.
Yep, that's actually a really good final boss. Shout out to
Thank
Burr,
you for
GG.
following Sam.
And time is right when the screen fades to white, and that is a 1:00:47. It's a very, very good race
For
time.
the tournament, we are taking SRL time. Sam's SRL time is a 1 hour, 0 minute, 52 seconds. GG to him.
A very nice run. Mashy, meanwhile, is just approaching the Windfish's egg himself to try his hand at all the fun little randomness and skill that will come with the final boss. Right after this final bomb trigger. Second, I keep forgetting that you do a bomb trigger during the actual boss.
Yeah, I always say, okay, this last bomb trigger. Oh no, wait, that comes later. I don't think of it as a bomb trigger. That's my problem with
I
that.
just think of it as mashing buttons. Game's ending. This is actually a very sad ending, which is easy to forget about when you're speedrunning it, but you've essentially just ended the existence of everybody you just met.
Farewell, Koholint Island. You are but a dream. So as Mashy is getting ready to head for the Windfish Egg, we're going to bring SkywardSamm in. Get his thoughts on the race. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, GG, very nice run.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, that was pretty rough, but I finished. That's the important part.
That is true.
Yep. After that D5 death, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
I have to apologize because I probably jinxed it. I was just in the middle of saying it looks like you'll be alright, and then didn't even get the words out of my mouth.
Yep, that and that I didn't get the piece of power either.
Yeah,
so like, overall, really awful.
You already feel like you've lost at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does suck. Mashy getting trolled by the quick kill. So he's gonna have to go for the regular powder strat.
Oh, yep. Same thing happened to me.
Yep. Yeah, that's very solid execution. I mean, the death is unfortunate, but that just kind of thing just happens.
Yeah, and there were a few other parts that I feel like I played well at, but definitely got the RNG troll in a few places.
Your pause menu movement is actually really impressive. That's one thing that stuck out to me. You've
thank you.
time into that, yeah.
Yep. It was going well with that until... I'm trying to remember when it was. It might have been up until D6 or so, when my menu got messed up somehow, and I'm not sure what happened. So at that point, I was just kind of ad-libbing it.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, because you have a choice between spending like 20 seconds staring at your menu and fixing it, or just going with the run.
Right, yeah, it's kind of hard to decide.
Yeah.
Usually I just kind of ad-lib when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up getting a piece of paper and just writing down all my menus, like all the inputs for each one. That's how I normally do it. And I did use that for a long time, but I kind of got to the point where I had looked at it enough that I pretty much just have it memorized.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I might have to look for like the last couple dungeons or so, but before that it's fine, which is really useful to not have to be glancing over at a paper constantly instead of the game.
Alright, mash you up to Deathel. See how he gets treated.
Let's go.
Plenty of arrows, so He's running out is very unlikely to happen. In one of the older routes, you showed up with 16 or 17 arrows, so this was a lot hairier of a boss fight.
Oh god, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that sounds awful. I have problems with arrows anyways on this fight usually.
So do I.
What do you even do in that sense? If you run out of arrows, is it just like...
You can bomb him.
Yep.
However, I don't know how difficult
What?
it is.
You can
Actually,
damage him with bombs.
I actually tried doing that in my run earlier today, but he killed me before I had a chance. I ran out of arrows.
Tompa made us do a puzzle race at record that at one point. It was full health, Tracy's potion, and just 60 bombs and go for it. But Mashy has finished after a pretty good final boss fight with a time of hour 5:40 seconds.
Sweet.
GG.
So
for
GG's
those
to
players.
Mashy.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you feel like the best part of your run was, Skyward?
Well, I feel like the start was decently solid.
Your start was actually really good.
Yeah, I didn't really have many problems with like arrow or bomb management. That was one thing that is always really handy. I kind of had a decent amount of bombs left, so I went for the just the unbuffered bomb triggers in D7, at least for the first couple, which is nice
Hey,
to be able to do.
Hello there, Mashy. GG.
thanks.
GG, dude.
That was rough. That would have been a PB.
Yeah, a couple of
if-
messy. Yeah, if
if
Rooster Skip hadn't
Rooster Skip
happened.
didn't-
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that. It hurts to see that because you just get trolled.
all because I was a little too far to the right.
Yep.
I thought I was a little too far, but I thought, you know what? I'm just not gonna go for the hook shot there, and then it screwed me up anyway.
Yeah. That ended up being like probably about a 2-minute loss. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about like a minute 45 on my splits.
Oh gosh.
But very solid run other than that, actually.
Yeah, the beginning was not bad at all. I think I golded Dungeon 3, which was an amazing dungeon for me.
Very nice.
First try Dodongo skip both times.
Ooh, that was a problem for me. I think it was like third try on the second super jump for me.
And then what else? Oh, Dungeon 2. I got that piece of power late. I thought I actually killed too many enemies and thought I missed it. Cuz I saw Bow Wow kill the one enemy outside of
yeah, just as that
Dungeon
happens.
2.
Sometimes it's like you don't have time to see the sprite. Yeah, but you got it. So
Yeah.
as long as you get it before you enter those stairs, you're usually pretty good. And it worked out going to D5 really well. It was the first enemy.
Yeah. And then I lose it on Master
Yeah,
Swap 1.
D5 will do that to you.
Oh, that blows, man. That sucks.
Yeah,
D5
I
is a
haven't had a D5 where I've kept piece of power yet. I always lose it before I get the boss key.
D5 is difficult to keep it. There's so many places where you can take damage, especially with those Helmisars.
Right. Bow Wow was pretty much just no to me having the piece of power at all in my run.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't expect you were getting wrecked that hard. I didn't think you were going to get it in D4. But
Right. Well,
happened.
he ate like everybody on the way to D5.
yeah, he did go nuts in that little alley going to the keyhole.
He had just a eating massacre going on. He left like one guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like the loneliest like moblin ever now for the rest of his life.
Well, too bad you ended his life when you beat the game.
That's true anyway.
Yeah, he was going to go away anyway.
Yeah, in like a half hour.
Oh yeah, I got hella trolled on Moblin Skip.
You did,
Ooh.
yeah.
Like I had the perfect pattern and I got him, but then I just couldn't get the clip. And then after that, he just decided not to turn up.
That Moblin Skip is something else some days. There's so much RNG in this round that can just wreck you without you having a say in it. that, Aghanim, a couple other places. At least with Moblin Skip, it's early in the run, so during PB attempts, you can always reset pretty quick.
Yeah, that's always
Right.
nice.
It's really hard to have the motivation to like keep going once the moblin trolls you enough right at the beginning.
Well, I don't really have anything else to talk about.
Yep, I guess that's it for LADX tonight. I think I am not sure if anything else is going on in the stream tonight. Does anyone else
There
know?
is. I'll get to that in a moment. First of all, Sam and Nasty, any final thoughts?
No, I think I hit everything.
I think I'm gonna, before we go, if I can give a quick shout out, I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
throw
Go for it.
I'm gonna throw a shout out to my friend Matt for being an awesome dude, having a pretty sexy beard. That's about it.
Or
Shout outs to
actually,
Matt.
I do have a quick thing. Right here on Speed Gaming, next Saturday, the 30th, is going to be a 2D Zelda relay. We're still working out the schedule, but it should be coming out hopefully by this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. LADX should be there. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Sounds
Tune in
like fun.
on the 30th.
All right. Well, for closing, if you really keep it around on Speed Gaming, coming up, and well, as soon as we're off the air, we've got a Super Metroid randomizer starting at 10:15. Alternatively, over on Speed Gaming 2, Final Fantasy 1 rando should be finishing up here pretty shortly, followed by some Earthbound. So you've got plenty of viewing options tonight. But that's got to be it for us. The next LADX match, I believe, looks like Sunday at noon on Speed Gaming. Not sure who that features. See if I can pull that up real quick. Sunday looks to be Alpha 5 and Sikinar. So if you're around, hope to see you there. We are done for the evening. As I said, keep it locked here to see some Super Metroid Randomizer. We will see you all again on Sunday.
Yep, see you later.
All right. Good night, everybody.